Hello, everybody, and welcome to Willow's Witchy Den. So, tonight we're going to be talking about spirituality and the paranormal and how it's all tied in and linked. So, we're going to be talking about how we use our craft in doing our paranormal and how it all comes together. So, I'm obviously here with my lovely sister Drew, and we're going to be talking to you about all of that. So obviously I'll get us to introduce herself for anybody new that's coming in. So I'll get Sister Drew to introduce herself first, then I'll introduce myself, and then we'll get on with the show. So Sister, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello everybody, my name is Drew, also Athena is my witchy name. I'm known as Drew's Paranormal Vlog, but I have just recently changed my name to Drew's Scottish Vlogs because I do a lot of vlogging. So it was really just for the summer things I was doing the paranormal, but for the winter I was doing Scottish Vlogs. So I do a bit of witchcraft, a bit of paranormal, a bit of spirituality, tarot, really just anything to do with spirituality and witchcraft. But if you want to check me out, my link will be in the description somewhere.
Yes, I will put down Sister Drew's link later so that you guys can get into that. I'll re-edit the video. So obviously I'm Sherry, also known spiritually in my witch faith as Willow. I'm a investigator. I'm a witch. I'm a practicing shaman. I do all spiritual stuff as well. I'm an investigator, but not in the winter, as we freeze our ass off.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do everything spiritual, and we do lots of different talks. And we were hoping to bring a lot of really cool stuff. And you've got to check us out on the other shows this week as well. There's some really good shows coming up, which I'll mention at the end of the show. So what we're going to do is talk to you about our interests in the paranormal and how we bring the spirituality side into that. Because obviously where me and Sister Drew are witches, we do like to bring techniques from our witch faith into doing our paranormal investigations, how we connect with the spirits, what we do to connect with them. We'll probably tell you like some little stories about how we got into doing the paranormal and things like that. I think that'd be the first bit that'd be really good, is how we got into the paranormal and connected to the spirit energy, and then obviously bringing our witch faith in as well. So who wants to go first? Do you want to go first, sis?
You go first, sis. You go first.
Right. Hello, Salem. Hello, Scott. Hello, Sister Mystical. Hello, MCAT. I know that all of you lovely people are in the room so far. Lots of love to all of you, and to everybody else that is watching. There is 7 people watching. Hello.
Blessings,
and
everybody.
Blessings to you all. So obviously, I've been able to connect and communicate with spirits since I was 5 years old. I wouldn't say that when I first started out that I was very open to the spirit world. I was very scared of it because I would see these energies around me. I couldn't understand why nobody else could ever see them. As I got older, obviously, I got to about 5 and I started to connect with aura, which is my fire elemental. And I had my grandmother at the time. They helped me to understand about how to be connected with nature, how to be connected with the spirit energies. So at first, I really wasn't down for talking to the spirits. They scared me. The fae folk scared me because I just thought they were all the same thing. But as I went on, I was able to open to them a lot more. My grandmother and aura gave me the confidence to communicate and connect with them, and to be able to adjust with my abilities and accept my abilities. So when I got to an age where I started to research into what I was and why I could do these things, that's when I established that I was a witch, and that they all of the things to do with witchcraft just linked with me, as well as seeing other bits like about spirituality, about different abilities and stuff like that. So I was able to connect to that. And as I'd got older and I'd got into my mid-teens, maybe 18, 19, I started going out with other people. You go out on investigations, people would turn around and tell me that you're really good at what you're doing. Have you ever considered like doing this yourself? But I didn't straight away. I stayed with them for quite a few years, went out, enjoyed it, got used to being comfortable with the spirits and being in connection with the spirits. And I decided 8 years ago that I would bring a paranormal team together, and we started going out and investigating. I started to be more open about my spirituality. I was already starting to talk about me being a witch, but it was still hush hush back then. It's only been in the last like 8 years since being on YouTube that I've actually really opened to talking about my witch faith, which I have done all of my life, but I kept it very secret. And I've been more comfortable with talking about my spirituality and sharing my abilities with other people. Many people have experienced what I can do. So that's how I got into connecting with the investigations. I just loved being with the spirits. I loved going out. I wanted to prove to people that they were there because I experienced it all the time. And 8 years later, I'm on 2,040 something subscribers, which I never thought would ever happen. But I've always been
It's
real
an
at what I
achievement.
do. I've always just been me. And, I enjoy being this. This is who I am. This is my path and this is my calling. So
Yeah.
it is something I very much love. So that's a little bit about me. Now I'm going to put you over to my beautiful sis right next to me.
Well, to be honest with you guys, I've really discovered this through the last couple of years. So this will be a little bit of mumble jumble to a lot of people, but I always liked to be scared when I was a kid. My mum always told us ghost stories at the weekend. She would always start off with, "It was a dark and stormy night. Three men sat by a fire." And I used to love it. I used to go, "Mum, tell us a ghost story, tell us a ghost story." And my big brother used to scare us all the time. He used to scare us constantly. I'd be going up the stairs and he would turn the lights off and things. But I secretly enjoyed it. I would scream and things at the time, but I secretly enjoyed it. So through time, and I loved all the movies, and then the paranormal programs came out, and I loved all that. Then obviously I discovered
Yeah.
YouTube, and through YouTube I discovered that there was paranormal investigators was a thing. I was like, yes. So I discovered haunted finders, and they were for Nottingham. So I got to kind of follow them and see what they done, and I was like, I want to do that. I want to do something like that. And at the time, my son-in-law was alive, so I would downloaded a couple of apps. It was like the Ouija board app and a couple of other little things. So me and Billy would sit and play it, and it had said one day something about a knife, and he had said, "Oh, that's weird because a knife, something to do with a knife had slid off the worktop the night before or something strange." So we got right into this Ouija board app. But unfortunately, within about 2 weeks, Billy died. And it left my family devastated, guys, honestly. My daughter was devastated. She had a little 2-year-old son. So, right, really, by that point, I made the decision that I wanted to see if it was all real. I wanted to see if I could talk to Billy and like my gran and things. The thought of it all being real really intrigued me. And by this point, I was really doing like a little bit of research online. I was seeing if ghost hunting was real, if spirituality, sorry, as if spirits and ghosts were real, that type of thing. So through after Billy's funeral and things settled down, I was also a very into drugs at the time, let's say. That's a different story for another time, as Mike would say, take another drink. But that's a different story. But I was really struggling with life, guys. And I took a little bit of a mini breakdown when my daughter moved back in here with me, with my grandson. And I wasn't a witch at the time, by the way. So really what had happened was through trying to discover if that was all real and having my little breakdown, I seen my deity which was Santa Murta. I'd reached out to something, and through doing that, I had seen her and she smiled at me. And for that day on, guys, it just really, everything changed. Everything took a 360. So what had really happened was I'd bought all the equipment, I'd bought the ghost box, the K2, and nothing happened. I didn't never get a beep. I didn't get a voice, and I was devastated. I was like, oh. So I just done more research, like what can I do to open myself up to the spirits? What can I do so spirits can communicate with me? So I discovered, and actually discovered that through doing like meditations, you can connect through higher your vibration, lowering your vibration, through all that. And then I discovered that that was a little bit witchy. So I started watching witches on YouTube. I started off with, what was her name? Um, TikTok chick, or whatever her name was. I started off Tiptoe chick. I started off with her, and then Astro. Oh, what was it? I can't remember the other lady's name, but the two of them died. The two of them actually died when they were doing YouTube. So then I discovered Lady Grave Dancer, and for then on I never looked back. I found that doing a little bit of meditation, and I didn't meditate as you would know as meditation at the time. I now I can, but at the time I couldn't. I was more daydreaming to connect. So doing all that, I had discovered that I was connecting and I could start to see a future in this. So through doing that, I managed to get words out the ghost box and things. And the ghost box actually, I'll on my channel somewhere. The ghost box told me to. I was like, what can I do to make the connection? And it told me to get amethyst. And I think it was dragon's blood at the time. I can't remember. It was either dragon's blood or one of the other ones. So I did all that. I researched what it all was. I started buying things. So through doing that is how I actually connected to ghosts and to spirits. And then actually through that I discovered a whole world opened up to me. Herbs and crystals and little rituals you could do to connect to your ancestors. And from then on, guys, I just stayed in that routine. So before I go ghost hunting, I say my prayers, I open up my altar, I ask my ancestors to be with me. Then I discovered Uncle Danny as well, who really got me connected because his wolf spirits Timber connected to me. They chose me to guide in life. So I got Timber, my wolf, and through doing that, he comes in investigations with me. And as soon as anything ever says Timber's here, I know something's going to turn bad. So through doing that, a lot of research, a lot of books, a lot of watching things on YouTube, I just found a way to talk to the spirits through doing witchy things, and that's just really how it's went ever since. I've just never stopped. I just keep researching and going on. Yeah. So that's a bit about how I get into it, guys.
Yeah, and like obviously, like for me, like I said to you, hello Anonymous, how are you?
Welcome,
Yeah, for me it
Anonymous.
was a little bit different because obviously I'd been able to see them since I was really young, and I became very connected to witchcraft very young as well. But I do understand what Sister says when she says about the connection with using the craft, using the different crystals and the different herbs and oils and connecting and meditating. All of that stuff's been stuff that I've really loved doing. And if you go onto my channel and stuff like that, you can see a lot of meditation videos. You can see my investigation videos and things that we do to get prepared for investigations. So, like for me, when I know that I'm going to be connecting with spirit, whether I'm going out on an investigation or whether I'm going to be connecting to them at home or through my spiritual side, through my witchcraft, I always like to make sure that I do things like my ritual baths where I put my herbs and I put certain oils. One of my favorite things to put in is rose petals into the water as well, just to give me a cleansing. I would always cleanse and have a ritual bath. Then I would get up and do meditation and things to just get my mind balanced and ready for the investigations, wherever it's going to be, um, and open
It's
to the
all
spirits.
research, though,
And
isn't it?
to be honest,
It's
it
all
is. And
research
you do have
behind
to
the
do a lot
work.
of research, and that it's really
Yeah.
important.
Let's get my
It is
dog in.
really important to do research. If you are considering being a witch or considering being an investigator, most definitely do your research and do your studying before you go into this, because it's not a game and it can be very dangerous, and especially if you don't know what you're doing. So
Yeah.
I will never ever go to an investigation without doing my ritual baths, doing my meditation, doing my protection and balancing spells and stuff that I do
Yeah.
here. Once I've got all of that, it's all systems go ahead, you know, like, and I'm off. Like, absolutely love
See,
doing the
that
investigations, but I've had some negative
I was just going to say that that's
experiences
all to do
in the
with
past. So
trial
I'm
and
very
error.
cautious.
Error. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
trial and error, guys. All this knowledge didn't just come to us and we knew how to do it. It's trial and error, finding things that work, things that don't work. As for example, I never ever used to give an offering to the gatekeeper when I went to cemeteries. It wasn't until I started talking to Sherry, uh, Uncle Danny, and then we met Mystical and things who's in the chat, and
And
then I
puffs.
realised that, yeah, I realised that half of the communication I was getting wasn't as good as I could have got. So I started giving offerings to the gatekeeper, talking to the gatekeeper before I went, when I left, building up a rapport with them, keep going back to different places that's local to me so that I could make a connection to the spirits. And that's what annoys me about debunkers, guys, okay? Just putting this in here. Debunkers will tell you that spirit boxes and things don't work, the apps and things on your phone don't work. Maybe there is a little bit of
Well,
that technology
they do.
can be argued with, okay? But when you keep going back to cemeteries over and over again, and you start getting names of people on the headstones, they start talking to you in a personal manner, you know you've connected. So that's why I always go back to all the different cemeteries that I've been to, especially the one down local to me. And anytime I'm passing it, I always talk to the spirits as well. It's about building up that reputation with them. It's about finding things that work for you and for them. Remembering that they were human. Well, most of them were human first, and that they are still want to be treated with honour and valour and things. It's about getting to know the spirits as well as they're getting to know you. So I just wanted to say that quickly before anybody says it debunks the necrophonic app with me, guys. I can't fault it. I know a lot of people say that it's only just words coming through a spirit box or whatever, but the necrophonic to me is just the pure spirit connection. I can hear every single one of my family members through necrophonic. It's nuts. Just wanted to say that.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's good, Sister Mystical and Mr. Lee. It's really cool that you're watching us on the TV. Hello. But
Welcome.
yeah, that
For sure.
definitely, like, it's not as simple as just walking in there, getting your equipment out and expecting that they're gonna like communicate with you. You've got to build a relationship with them. You've got to show them that they can trust you. You have to have a lot of respect for them. You have to build that friendship with them. And taking offerings, taking herbs for taking normal offerings and waters and stuff for the spirits is something that is a really big thing to do. And always showing your gratitude and your opening to the spirits as well, welcoming them, always making sure you perceive and you put over like what energy you're wanting to communicate with. There's anything that's going to come through your apps. What you've got to remember is no matter what sort of device or app that you're using, when you open that and you'll start communicating with those spirits, that becomes a portal. That is a way for them to come through. That is a way for them to communicate with you. Anything else can come
Yeah.
along with that. So that's why it's really important to make sure you build those relationships with the spirits. It's very important to make sure that you clarify who you want to talk to. It's really important to make sure you wear things like your amulets and your protection shields and you take your crystals with you, and do
Yeah.
that sort of thing, and always show the spirits respect, whether they're good or bad. You don't go, talking to them really nasty and getting them to come out by like prompting them
And
to
you
do
don't
things and
start
being
off as a good
disrespectful to them. Be
investigator either.
respectful. It's really
Yeah.
important.
You don't start off as a good
And you
investigator
going
either.
out
You
like,
build up to it.
you can't just go start doing investigations.
Yeah.
You do need to be you need to have education, you need to have some understanding, you need to be able to know about how you protect yourself, how to communicate with the spirits, the sort of equipment and what it does. You need to have an understanding of all of this because, as I said to you, all of your devices you use become some form of a portal. You know what I mean? So even yourself is a portal. Once you start talking to them and opening to them, you become a portal because there's something that they become attracted to, because they
Yeah.
know that you're aware of them, they know that you're there. And it's even worse when you've got abilities, they come to you like magnets, like literally. So you've got to
That's
make
another
sure that
thing.
all of that protection and stuff's in place. And it doesn't just start from doing a simple prayer at home,
No.
in the graveyard with them and stuff. It all starts at home, having your ritual baths and doing your cleansings and doing all of this. And you have to do that after you've done your investigations as well, to
Yeah.
make sure that there is no residual energy left from being there, because they can have a tendency for following you. If you don't tell them, they're not allowed to follow you. I've
Exactly.
had that experience
I'd
way,
say it's
way back
probably
when I started out.
I started doing ghost hunting, I think it was 2000 and when I moved up here in 2015. It must have been about 2017 I started my process of ghost hunting. So it's took me from 2017 to probably last year or the year before to kind of have some sort of structure to ghost hunt. So it's you don't just learn this thing overnight. You don't just have a list of things to do to go out ghost hunting.
No.
This is all a process that you get to understand the way that it works to connect, the way that it works to protect yourself. Everybody's journey is different. I didn't start off with abilities. Sister Sherry started off with abilities for birth. I didn't. I've kind of brought my abilities on, if you like. I do believe that I've always had a spiritual connection, that I've probably always had spirits around me that I've spoke to in
Yeah.
some sort of way, but I've always blocked it out as being that. I always thought I was making things up about people in my head. I always thought when I seen people as a kid and I was staring at them, and my mum always told me to stop staring. I seen a lot more things than other people would have seen as a kid. I could tell if that person was sad, if they were happy, if there was something going on medical wise as well, if they were in pain. Looking back on all that now, I can see that. But as a kid, I didn't. That's why when I was saying as well in the last stream about when I was a kid, I used to sit under the trees and I'd play with all my furniture out my doll's house. I wouldn't play with any little men or anything. I would just have the furniture there, pretending there was people, there was little. Obviously, it was probably fairies at the time, but I didn't know that as a kid. And even sitting here now and recognizing that, I must have been, and it must have been talking to some sort of little beings, because I remember it as if it was yesterday. I used to always be so excited just to take my stuff out the front and play in the big rockery out the front door. And I would put all the little bedrooms at the side of the rockery. I'd put the little living room here, but I would never have any characters. So recognizing that now today, I've obviously been connecting to something, you know. It's all a
Yeah, and
process.
it probably was there, sis. Like, definitely, because I was being young, children are open to that sort of thing when they're young and that. So, but a lot of people, probably like yourself, forget or don't think
Yeah.
that is that. And that's like another in like when you're out and that, like you get that voice in your head that tells you certain things and certain things you should and shouldn't be doing. And a lot of people don't realize that, that's your consciousness talking to you. It's them talking to you,
Yeah.
communicating with
I
you,
always
telling
thought I was
you to be
making up
careful about
things
certain
about
things, or
people in my
what's okay
head.
and what isn't.
See, when I walk
Yeah.
by people
And it's really
sometimes and
important to listen to that sort of thing and listen
yeah,
to your instinct as well and your gut feelings. All of that's really important in this. That really gets
yeah.
you through and keeps you safe. And having, like I said, having your amulets and things on you as well. It's really
Remember as
important.
well,
And
though, guys,
it's not something you just go
paranormal
out
was
and start
used
doing,
to
guys.
scare
You've got to
people.
research.
Exactly. See, when we were kids, paranormal was used to scare people. As I was saying, my big brother would turn the lights out on me and things going up the stairs. I had a curiosity of being scared, if you would like that type of thing. I didn't mind about. It didn't bother me being scared. I was curious about why I was scared as a kid. I probably looking back as well. So I feel as if that connection's always been there to spirit. But in my house, paranormal and things was never talked about. It was always, oh, don't be silly, ghosts are no real. And it was just as used to scare people. So it was never took serious. It wasn't until I was older that I started to seek out that curiosity. Everybody watched all the ghost hunting programs, I dare say, in the 90s. But to me, I really, really wanted to know if this was all real. And then the curiosity just kind of came upon me. And then now I know that I'm in my right path. And I know there's spirits out there waiting and me going back to speak to them and things. I can feel them calling me, you know?
And they're very real, and you'll get a lot of people that would say that to you, that they'll turn around and say that, you know, it's not real, it's your imagination, it's an imaginary friend,
Yes,
things
oh,
like that. Luckily for me, my mum never said that sort of stuff. My mum never said that sort of stuff, but my mum never really spoke about it either. But that was for very
yeah,
good reasons. Obviously, she was like me when she was younger. She had a really bad experience. She didn't want to put that on to any of us, and she knew that there was stuff to do with me that she'd been told by these witches, and she didn't want to be making sure that she was the reason for me going into it like unaware. So me growing up, obviously I had these abilities, so the scary side for me was a lot different, because I would have them turning up, I would see them, they would scare the hell out of me because I
oh,
couldn't understand why other people couldn't
exactly.
see
I
them,
think if I
the
seen
way that
them,
they
I'd
would
be scary.
react. Like to me, as a little kid, you know, I thought they were being nasty to me, but it was just the way that they were trying to reach out to me and they were trying to get me to connect to them. But it used to
Yeah.
scare me really badly, just like the faded, until
Mm,
I'd been opened and told that I didn't need to be scared of them and that I needed to accept my gifts because it wasn't something I was going to lose.
exactly.
So
But
that's
I
what I done.
definitely
But
know.
it,
I
for me,
definitely know that if I had your
I
gifts as
wasn't
a
given
kid,
a
I'd have
choice. I
been scared
wasn't
as
given
well.
a choice.
Yeah, I'd have been
I
scared as
threw it. I was thrown in. I was thrown in it from the beginning, and it was kind of like, Sherry, you have to just deal with it and get on with it. That's who you are. That's what you are. Like,
See,
and
there's no really
obviously
a
over
way
the
to get
years,
rid of
having
it,
all of
is
the
there?
communication and
Yeah,
being connected and having really bad experiences, it's not made me really that scared of the paranormal anymore. I still get a bit of a heart rush every now and again, and they might scare me if they do it off guard, but it
yeah.
really doesn't phase me in
I'm
that way
saying
anymore. I
all this
think the
because
only thing
I've
that
never
really
seen a
ever
spirit
scared
yet.
me really badly was the negative energy that I got from my friend's house. That scared me because it nearly
Yeah,
killed me. That did scare
exactly.
me,
That's a
and that
different
nearly
level,
forced
though.
me to come away from the paranormal field. I nearly gave the paranormal up because of that situation, but I
Yeah,
didn't, because I was intrigued and because I wanted to know why they reacted like that, and because it's my
I
passion, it
know.
is who I am, and I want to be
You've
able to
got to
learn
have a
other people
passion
about
for
that.
it.
And
Yeah, you've definitely
yeah,
got to have a passion for it. I know a lot of people have a curiosity for it and they'll buy the latest equipment and go out to a cemetery just to see what it's all about. And that is very dangerous, guys. That is, especially when you're going to their territory and you don't know what you're doing, that is very dangerous. If you have got a curiosity about
it is.
paranormal and ghost hunting, start off with doing your research on how to protect is my first thing I could advise you on. And then maybe don't go to a cemetery for goodness sake. Maybe just walk up in your local woodland or something, but don't go to a cemetery your very first ghost hunt. That's just silliness.
Yeah, no, like you do need to be prepared. You do need to learn and
More
be open to
attachments.
all of that learning first,
Yeah,
because so much so much can happen to you. You can get attachments, you could pick up something. That's another thing that I always say to people: don't just go into places and start picking things up and taking them home with you. You don't know what's attached to that energy or to that object that you're taking as
like
well.
I
It's
did.
dangerous to do that. You don't know what it is.
There it
um
shows you that my very first one of my
you
very
know,
first times going out with Chris, I picked up those rocks, remember, up at where was it again? I can't remember. We were up somewhere and I picked up a couple of rocks in one of my first
that war
investigations.
place
Yep,
where those soldiers and that, it was where those
yep.
soldiers were, weren't it?
Yep, and I took them back. I brought them here and I had them on my altar for a couple of weeks. And then things just started to go wrong. There was little things. And then there was like a mood over the house as well. But things started to go wrong, like just one thing after another. And I think I was on a podcast with you all at the time, and I'd mentioned it. And you said, that's the rocks. It was something like that had happened, and I knew instantly after talking about it that it was because of those rocks. I ended up having to take them back up. But that shows you how much we have to
Yeah,
learn, though. You don't know these things until you do it.
and that's why I always specify, like, don't just go picking things up because you don't know who's attached to it, and that's part of them. It's part of where they are and what they're connected to. And it's the same when you buy objects and stuff. Like, for me, anytime I go out and I buy anything that's secondhand, or anything I buy for my witch faith, anything I buy that is for my faith, for my paranormal, I always have to cleanse, bless, and do all sorts of things to it before I even consider using it, because
Yeah,
there's a lot of residual energy that hangs around that can become attached to that stuff as well, without even realizing it. You really don't know how easy it is for energy to attach to something, even if it's not negative. But
yeah.
it's very important to do that. And
But it's great though, guys. Honestly, I
like,
feel like
I know there's people out there that connect with objects. There's a lot of people out there that
yeah,
collect on haunted objects. It's their sort of thing. But I always say to them, do you cleanse? Do you bless? Do you look after yourself? Do you make sure that you're safe when you're doing that? Because you really
I
don't know what
know.
you're bringing into that house. Like, anyone can tell you, oh, it's
Deep
good, it's
spirits
nice, it
lie.
don't do nothing bad, when it's the
Exactly,
hello.
spirits tell lies.
Um,
Honestly, guys, you've got no idea just how
they
much
don't
spirits
tell lies,
tell lies. They could pretend
they
that they
can't
were
tell
the
lies.
local prime minister if they wanted to, you know. You would never know. So it's very, I would say
I
it's
always
important to build up a reputation with them.
I'm very respectful to the spirits, and I'll listen
Yeah.
to what they say, but I take a lot of what they say with a pinch of salt. The only ones I don't take with a pinch of salt are actually my direct guides
Yeah.
and energies that have been with me for years and have never done me wrong. And I always know that they're right. And that's why they're always with me. That's another thing, always making sure that you call on your spirit guides, you call on your protectors and things
Oh,
to be with you at these times, especially, even not just for investigations, but if you're just wanting to meditate, or you're just wanting to do something spiritual and stuff like that. It's really important to always make sure that you're covered and you're protected, and that your energies are there helping you as well, whether that's you communicating with an angel, or if you've got some other form of spirit guide or protector. Whoever it is that you're communicating with, it's really important to make sure you've got your guides and energies like that around you. um I've had, obviously, like Sister Drew was saying, like, in the past, I've had bad experiences. I had the bad experience at a friend's house. She'd been having experiences. Her daughter had been experiencing this negative energy. This daughter had been feeding a certain dog that wasn't what she thought it was, and these energies in the house weren't very good, and they were really badly affecting my friend and affecting my friend's 5-year-old daughter at the time. She's a lot older now. And I remember being on a video call with her, and this energy was able to establish where I was, and it come over me on a stream. And I said, "Oh my God, like, it's behind me." And on the stream, people could see this really dark shadow behind me, and they're like, "Sherry, what is that standing behind you?" I said, "It's the energy in that." And I remember being attacked. I had these upside down crosses that formed on my neck when I was on a video call with someone. They actually witnessed it, and they're like, "Oh my God, what's happened to your neck?" And I was like, obviously in a lot of pain because of what it had done to my neck, and it got infected. I'd managed to get it under control for a little bit because I'd managed to get rid of the energy at the time. It had gone back to them. And I had to go up there and do an investigation up there and get rid of this energy. It took us a whole day to get rid of these energies out of their house. But through doing that, this energy decided to follow me home. And it took me quite a few months to get rid of it completely. And it was affecting me in a really bad way. It made me really sick. all of my neck had become poisoned from the attack. I was in and out of consciousness by the time I had to go into hospital. I almost died, and well, I wouldn't say I fully died, but I know that I wasn't here. I had some weird experiences that tells me that I'd gone to the other side, even if it wasn't completely to the other side. And I was that close to getting septicemia, where it had infected so badly. And that's why when people turn around and say, oh, I don't believe in demonic and I don't believe in negative energy and I don't believe in bad energy, they do exist. They're very rare to come across. And normally there is very good reasons to why they may be involved in somebody's home. I'd found out that there were certain things that in the past my friend had done with her brother and stuff like that to do with the Ouija boards and other things. And they didn't know what they were doing and they called on the wrong energy. And I established all this. I knew that she wasn't telling me everything. And I said to her, because Aura was speaking to me as well and saying, she's not telling you everything, to ask her about the board. So I said, what's this about a board? And she looked at me like shocked. And she was like, how do you know? I said, Aura's just told me about it. And she's like, when I was younger, my brother and his friends done an Ouija board in this place. They didn't really know what they were doing. I was stood outside and something scared them and they run and they left the board open. I said, yeah, that's where this energy's come from. And it took so long for it to come out and start affecting them. And it started messing with her 5-year-old daughter. And I was not going to be having that. So, yes, I got attacked, but would I do it again? Yes, I would do it again. I would help somebody again. Of course I would. This is what I'm here to do. And it's learnt me a lot. And I've had negative energies coming over the spirit box, but a lot of these energies that you communicate with that tell you that they're demons and they're this and that, they're not normally. A demon wouldn't be that straightforward to you and tell you it's a demon. You know what I mean? It would mess with you and
Most
things
of
like that. I've
the
learned that.
spirits that
Do you know
tell
what I
you
mean?
to
So
get
a
out
lot of
bring
them,
good lights.
they're just ones trying to heebie-jeebie you, but
Yeah.
they are out there, guys, and they are real. And I experienced it full hand, nearly lost my life because of it. So it's it, this this sort of field is an amazing field to be part of, but it's a very dangerous field to be part of
Yeah.
if you don't know what you're doing.
I've been
I
attacked a
would
few
not
times
suggest
as well.
anybody just going out there thinking you know what to do, how to talk to them, because
Yep.
you do need to build your relationships. You're not just going to get communication with them as well. You've got to build those relationships with them and build relationships, especially if you're going to graveyards like the gatekeepers and stuff like that. They're very important because they're the guardians of the graveyard. They look after the graveyards. They protect the spirits that are there. They protect the grounds. They protect the doorways to the realms as well. They are very, very important. And they don't just come in human form. They can come in a horse form. They can come in a dog form. They can come in many
Yeah.
forms. Okay, so
Yeah, I've been
it's really,
attacked as
really
well. I
important
got
to always
attacked from
make
my
sure you pay
partner's
homage to them
father-in-law.
and
You know,
respect to them.
you've got to have respect.
When I
And you've
when I
got to
first
be
started
aware.
going to my graveyard and that, I did. The first thing I noticed was the gatekeeper, and I was like when
Yeah.
and introduced myself to him. It took a couple of times for him to actually engage with me. He didn't want to know, and I'd leave the investigation area. I'd keep trying to go back, and it was only when I started going through a domestic
Mm.
abuse, and I started going there to get away, and the spirit started to open to me, and a spirit lady there called Elizabeth actually helped me to find like places I could hide so that my ex-partner couldn't find me and stuff like that. And I'd hide and I'd feel safe there. And that's when the gatekeeper become a little bit more open to me. And I introduced myself. I showed my respect and my love to him. I told him that I thought he was amazing for what he does for the graveyard, and that I think it's really good that he protects the spirits. And I'm sorry if I'd upset him. And I put an offering out to him. And ever since then, he's been fine with me. I take offerings up to him, I take offerings up to the spirits. And it's one of my most favourite places to go to. And I've been going there for years now. And It's one of them places I can't walk past it now without having to stop and say hello to them, because
That's
they'll
it.
scream at me literally, Shay, Shay. Like
I just
they
feel
don't
like
like it if I don't acknowledge them.
it's like walking past your friend's house and not waving in the window or something, isn't it?
Yeah, like literally, and they do. They'll make it like make a point of making sure you hear them and
Yeah.
stuff like that. It's nuts. And I've done it when I've been walking with friends. I'm like, oh my god, please, no, no. And like because
It's a
my
great. I
friends
love
would
it.
get freaked out by all of that. But
I do. I love it.
it is part of it is part of who I am, and
Yeah.
like with the witch faith in the paranormal, obviously, like I take things like herbs and oils up there. I'll do like my ritual baths. I'll do my meditations. I'll do certain ceremonies on certain times of
I'm
the
gonna
year
make
when it's like certain seasons, and I go up to visit them. I do a lot of that sort of stuff. I always wear my witchy stuff, like my
yeah.
pendulum I take with me. I'd always wear my pentagram and things like that. And I've always been very open to them about what I am and what I do. And they've always been very forthcoming to that. They've always felt very connected to me because of that. Because the best thing about being a
Oh,
witch is the fact that you're so open to nature, you're so open to the other world, and you're natural in it, and you understand and you have respect and gratitude for everything that you experience. And I think they like that. They like
yeah.
that you have that connection, that you have that little bit of a different understanding to somewhat like there's some
And
teams
plus,
that are
you've
not
not
like that. They're
forgotten.
just investigators, and I
A lot
don't
of these
find that they
old
always know what they're
cemeteries.
doing, and they irritate me, especially when they're disrespectful to them.
Yeah.
I asked
Some of
my
the,
guides and angels to help me remember my dreams. The next night, I started remembering my dreams. I think my guides are listening. Yes, you have to talk to your
they
guide.
will
Your
do
guides will help you and guide you through things. If you ask them, they will let you know. There's many
yeah.
ways that they let you know. They'll either talk to you directly, or they'll come in dream state, or they'll telepathically talk to you. They may give you
You just know
signs
something that
that
you
show
didn't
you
know
that they're
before.
like
Yeah.
interacting with you. You may feel them, see them, hear something. Like there's always ways they communicate with you. It's having the audacity to be open to that and accept that.
Yeah.
You do need to be open hearted and open minded, and and always expect something, because when you're in the paranormal field, there's always going to be something that happens.
Oh, yeah. And
Always,
remember as
whether
well,
it's a
though,
ghost or it's a photo.
yeah, I always
Go on,
try and
sis.
remember that these people were human as well. Try and relate to them the
Yeah,
things that you would want to know. Because think about it, some of these cemeteries, especially in Britain, they're really old, and a lot of the people in the graves are like hundreds and hundreds of years old. So probably all their family are deceased. So we're probably the only people that come and speak to them anymore. So most of the time they're happy to see you. They want to interact with you. They feel your heart. They know if you're a good person or a bad person. So they're either
they
going to
do.
talk to you or they won't. And most of the time, if you speak to the gatekeeper will feel you out to see if you're a good person or whatever. And most of the time, without you even knowing it, he'll guide you to where the spirits are, or your spirit box or whatever device you've got
Yeah,
on will indicate to where they are. And that's all the gatekeeper's doing, because he allows you to communicate with these spirits, and he allows the spirits to communicate with you. But he
yeah,
also finds the right spirit for you to talk to. It doesn't just say, right, okay, when you go and do what you want. I find now more and more going through these
no.
cemeteries that he actually finds the right people for to talk to you, you know?
Yeah, well, he's in charge of that place, and he knows what each of those energies are like. And
Yeah,
obviously, once he gets to know, or she gets to know what you're like as well, like you're saying, that they do point you in the right directions, and they do bring the right energies forward to you to communicate with you and that.
Yeah.
And what you've got to remember with the investigations as well is if you're going to these really old places where it's hundreds of years old, they don't know what cameras and EVPs and all that is, so it's really scary to them. So you do need to tell them what you're using as well and what you use it for. Like, I'll go to certain places and I'll be like, right, okay, I've got this EVP and
Thank
I've
you,
turned
brother
it on.
Michael.
Now, if you come near me and you speak to me, this device may hear you speak. I said it's not dangerous. It won't hurt you. It's just so
Yeah,
that I can hear you and communicate with you. And I do that with all of my equipment. I'll explain what the camera is. I'll explain what the EVP is.
you've
I'll
got
tell them
to
if there's in a
because
device that
these
makes noise, because that could
senses.
scare them.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like hearing a
definitely.
massive, loud pitch buzz noise or a bell
You'll
going
find as well that the kids' spirits
off,
like the cat balls. You'll get to know what
like,
different spirits
hey,
like.
you know, it's really important that you do open them.
Yeah, I agree, definitely. But the witchcraft
We're not
part of
talking.
that
We're
is
not talking
really
over each other, guys. There is a
it's
massive
just a
lag,
delay.
and
Yeah.
because there's a massive lag, we keep looking like we're talking over each other, but we're missing what we're saying. So yeah, but no, I love the paranormal. I love the
Me too.
paranormal, but I would say to anybody that's considering going into it, always be very cautious and be very careful, and always make sure that you're educated and you've studied about it before you do it.
Yeah,
Okay, guys, and just remember that, you know, if you are somebody that's already done the studying and you're already getting into it, and you're not really having much of communication, dedication is the key. The
definitely.
more you go, the more you show them that you want to communicate with them, the more they open up to you. If you just go,
Yeah,
oh no, there's nothing here, they're not going to communicate with you. You've got to remember that they won't talk to you if you don't make the effort. You know, there's still people, a lot of them, that you come in communication with, and they will act
good
the same as they
guides.
would have if they were alive.
Yeah.
Somebody's not just going to start coming up to you and start talking to you, are they? They're
For
going
me,
to
especially, I find my
weigh
guides
you out,
find,
suss
yeah,
you out,
definitely. I definitely feel that before I leave the
suss
house to do an
what you're
investigation,
about. And what you've got to remember is a lot of these energies think we're all like that.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So you've got to kind of show them that we're not like those investigators. We're completely different.
yep.
You know,
And
like
remember,
we're
you always know
kind,
who
we're
you are.
courteous, we're understanding, and you
They'll
know, we're
fill your
here to
heart.
help you.
Yeah, it's a great thing to be in. It's amazing. The best experience I have ever had out ghost hunting is when I was standing in an old castle and it's on my channel, guys. They were standing in an old castle, and there was a spirit of a little girl there. And the spirit box was giving us the indication. It was I can't even remember what words it was saying though, but it was saying that like things like crossover, other side, different things to indicate that the spirit wanted to cross over. So there and then, I just asked Archangel Michael to come down. And on the camera, I think I was live at the time, and on the camera, you could see the big beam of light come in, and then you could see it just dispel like that. And then there was no more communication with the little girl. That was the best experience I ever had in my life because you could feel Archangel Michael come in to where the little room of the castle and you could feel the energy go. So that was absolutely amazing to me. Was Salem saying?
Salem.
Salem?
My question, the answer to was my house. Stop doing that, boo. My house wasn't haunted. I was.
I was stayed in a haunted
Literally.
house.
I communicate with spirits since I
Yeah.
was years old. So they were. I say that I was haunted, but I don't mean it in a way that like really bad things were attached to it. What I meant is that I'm very open to them. So
So they would
I
find
always
up.
had spirit around me. It wasn't my mum's house that was haunted. It was my abilities that attracted the spirits to my
Yeah.
home and wanting to communicate with me. So,
Yeah.
but I have been in buildings where it was haunted, and I've experienced spirits in there. Yeah, one of them was actually in my place in Sheffield that I lived in. Um, I was pregnant with my son, and I'd been decorating the house, and I had this tray with the paint roller, and I'd washed it all out, and I had it on my bedroom floor in my bedroom. And I'm sitting on my bed, and I had my son's mosey basket here, and all his stuff all cleaned and washed, ready for like when he was going to arrive. And I remember sitting on the bed, and I heard this like noise, and it sounded like the tray had tapped. So I looked over at the tray, thinking, "What the hell was that?" And the roller lifted, the handle of the roller lifted and started moving on its own in this tray. You've never seen somebody get up out of the bed so quickly and run out of the bedroom. And it's not because I was scared of them. At that time, I was pregnant with my son, and I didn't want
Yeah,
and I didn't want my son being in danger. And it
yeah.
turned out that this energy wasn't a very nice energy that was in my house, because when I was about 8.5 months pregnant, it tried to push me down the stairs.
Wow.
It literally tried to push me down the stairs while I was pregnant with him. And I told my nan about it, and my nan got a priest to come in and bless the house, but it didn't get rid of it.
Wow.
And when I gave birth to him, it calmed down for a little bit, and then it started up again. And then it wasn't me it was focusing on, it was my son it was focusing on. And my son was a little baby. My son would sit there giggling at just nothing, like something was like in the bedroom with him. But this energy would never ever show me who it was. And I see spirit, so that really scared me. And he'd start giggling, he'd get out, he'd climb out of the cot, somehow just climb out of the cot. I don't know how he got out of it, but he'd get out the cot. And when he used to come into my front room, he'd stand there like he weird, like something like it weren't him.
Oh,
And I was
God.
like, Ashton, and like and it'd stand there like just still staring at me, and I'm like, Ashton, like, and I'd pick him up, and he'd start giggling at me, and he's like, Mummy, and I'm like, what are you doing? And he goes, man. I'm like, man, where? And he goes, man, in bedroom, man, friend. And I'm like, no, he's not a
Wow.
friend, Ashton. And I had to get this priest back with my nan there, because we were doing Ashton's first birthday party, and we were cutting up sandwiches and that, and something pushed the knife into my nan's hand, and my nan like screamed because it caught her hand and that, and she's like, no, I'm not having this. She goes, how long's this been going on? I said, I've told you it's been going on for months, nan. And she's like,
Wow.
right, I'm going to get the priest back. We did finally get rid of him after that, but I'd noticed that there was like 3 claw marks in his foot at one point. He woke up screaming one night, and I was with my ex-boyfriend at the time. We were in bed, and he started screaming for no reason. So we lifted him up out the cot. We couldn't see anything was wrong with him, and my ex-partner was holding him, and I was like rubbing his leg, and I was like with my hand in that, and blood was on my hand, and I was like, what the hell's that? And there was 3 massive gouges in his foot.
Oh, wow.
Something had scratched his foot. That's when I had to get my nan, and then my nan had the knife go in her finger, and that's when she had to get this priest back in to
Wow.
to sort it out, because it wasn't a nice energy. It was really scary, and these things do exist. And
Definitely.
he seemed to be different after it had been removed. Like you notice the light in the room lift. You see the light, because it just seemed very
Yeah.
dark and gloomy in there all the time. It wasn't a nice place to stay in, and it lifted after it had gone. But I remember, like, there was one occasion where he's laying in his cot asleep, and I'm in my bed, and my ex partner was in bed, and we were asleep, and I got woke up because I could hear like bouncing, and I'm looking in the cot, like from where I'm laying. So I'm hearing his cot was at the end of the bed. I thought it was Ashton standing in the middle of his cot, jumping, going up and down, jumping, 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 jump. And literally, this thing just jumped out of the cot, cleared like the post of it, and it started walking around to my side of the bed, and it was doing it
Wow.
sideways. It was like, and it started shaking, and I was like, oh, I screamed, yeah, because there was this thing just jumped out of my son's cot. My son's laying there asleep in his cot. So I looked over to make sure. When it was standing near the cot, I looked. Ashton was in the cot, and there's this head, the top of this head,
Oh,
over
my
his cot,
God.
and I'm like, and it started walking out. It's like coming towards me. I screamed, and obviously it bolted. And I got up out the bed and I was looking for it, and it was in the kitchen, sat on the floor, and it was rocking.
Oh my
That
God.
was a really scary experience. And it wasn't a kid like it was showing itself as. It was something evil. It was negative. It was not a good energy at all. So
Interesting.
like
That
that
makes
one
me
and
think.
my friend's experience was my worst
Well,
ones.
think about this, right? Your mum had to get protection when she was pregnant with you because of something, right?
Yeah, and I do think to
What
this very
if?
day that that might have been that energy. I do
Yeah,
think it might have been that energy. Yeah.
yeah, could have been. Yeah, try to get Ashton. My house when I was growing up was
Sid,
haunted. A
I'm gonna
certain
get you to I'm gonna get you to talk about your experience for a minute. I'm just gonna run
yeah,
to the toilet quickly. So
okay,
you
okay,
talk.
no problem. When I
I'll be
was
back.
growing up in our house, there was certain, I don't even know what day in September it was. I'll need to ask my big sister if she can remember what actual day it was. But there was a certain day in September where our front door would close shut. Somebody would run up the stairs, but there was never anybody there. And the reason that it got serious was because it kept happening and happening every year after it. And as we were teenagers, we started to recognise it. And one Saturday night, when they were sitting, when CB's radios were, you weren't allowed a CB radio way back in the 70s. So we were used to sit in the kitchen on my cousin's CB radio and listen to the police and things. And somebody came in the front door, slammed the door, and run up the stairs. So we all packed up the CB and threw it in the cupboard, the closet. And everybody would run up the stairs to see if there was anybody there, and there was nobody there. And the door was locked as well because with the CB radio, we didn't want anybody walking in on us. So that was strange. And every year in September, something would happen similar to that where we would hear somebody run up the stairs. But I've had loads of different experiences. Me and my partner I was with just now, when we stayed at Wood Park, the curtains blew open and stayed there in mid-air for a good minute. And we were just sitting like, what the hell? Honestly, it's, maybe a minute's a bit of an exaggeration, but definitely 30 seconds. It just the curtains just blew up and right across and just stood there for like 30 seconds and then went down. And there was no breeze. That was the strange bit about it. But loads of little things like that happened to me through my childhood. If I had more time, I would probably think of hundreds of things, but that's what comes to my head just now. But in my mum's house to this day, there's strange things happen. So there's definitely something with my mother's house, but we only ever recognised it in September. But there was little things all the time. You would walk up the top of the stairs and turn round the corner to go into your bedroom, and that little corner was always so strange and weird. But where I stay is a witchcraft town, guys. So I stay in Lesmahago in Scotland, where there was a lot of witchcraft trials here. And I have found that out through time through the Edinburgh study. So basically, Lanark and Lesmahago was a lot of witches get burnt at the stake and different things. Drowned, I think, was their way of doing it up here. And I also think as well that is why I connected to witchcraft when I moved to this house. Is because where this land where I stay right now is actually supposed to be through the history is supposed to be where the witches were actually placed. So that maybe their houses were like placed around this area or something where they weren't witches, they were local healers, obviously, but they get done with witchcraft. So things like that, yeah, definitely. I've had loads of strange experience throughout my life. I also used to stay down New Lanark, which is the New Lanark World Heritage Village, where it's a Victorian village. I used to stay down there, and there was strange things all the time. So if I had probably 10 hours to sit and remember, I would tell you loads. But the strange
The
thing
thing
is,
is, Paranormal Hub.
yeah, sorry.
The thing is, Paranormal Hub is when you come in to doing paranormal investigations, when you open to communicating with the spirit, you do become more in tune with the spirit world. So you will get good and bad. Where there's good, there's always bad energy, but it's not always prominent. You don't always realize it's there. 9 times out of 10, negative energy will leave you alone and will not entertain you or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Unless there's a good reason for it. But
But
when
if you're
you're in,
feeling
that's one
down,
thing.
don't
All
go
of
out.
the people that are going into this have got to be prepared. Don't think if you become an investigator that you're still not going to experience the spirits. You'll just get it on a camera.
Oh,
You will
yeah.
become open and in tune with them a lot more. You'll experience a
Yeah.
lot more as well. Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. When I started this path, I didn't. It's all a process. So when you first start out, you'll do all the research. You'll have your altar. You'll be paranormal investigating all the time. Everything is so intense because you want to learn everything. You want to do everything, but you'll slowly settle down into it. And it's when you settle down into it that you'll realize the things that work and the things that don't work. So it's really as a process. My advice to anybody, especially if you're witchy or spiritual, is to connect to your guides. That is the most important thing in my eyes. To
Yeah.
connect to your guides because they are on the other
Yeah.
side. They can see and feel what is going to come. So connect to them for sure.
And wear your
Do your,
protection stuff.
do your protection.
That
Yeah,
as well.
that's my best advice to you. And keep
Yeah.
doing your research as
And
well. Research where
and
you're
don't
going.
think that you need to be a witch. Don't think you need to be a witch to have
Oh,
protection amulets on and carry stones. You can carry stones
no.
and crystals and stuff and not be a witch. You can still
Yeah,
use that energy and be protected. All you got to do is do your prayer over it.
yeah,
See, like for me, when I'm going out, as for like I said, I will have a ritual bath. I'll do the meditation. I'll open myself because I like to be able to have direct communication with my spirit energy. But I'll always
yeah.
make sure I'm wearing my amulets. So I always make sure I take things like sage and sandalwood or Palo Santo wood.
I think
I'll take frankincense and myrrh, stuff like that. If there's anything that's more stronger of energy, I always take that sort of stuff out with me. I always make sure that I'm equipped and I've got stuff. I will do prayers and openings before I leave. I will
yeah,
do it when I get to the place that I'm investigating. I will do it when I'm leaving the place that I'm investigating. And then I will tell the spirits physically to stay where they are and that they're not invited to come back with me. I always make sure they know that they can't follow me. And then when
yeah,
I get home, I'll do a blessing and a cleansing. So I do about 4 just to go out on an investigation. I do 2 before I go, 1 before I go, 1 when I get there, 1 when I leave, and 1 when I get home. I like
yeah,
to make sure that I am protected. I carry herbs on me. I'll carry my oils on me. As soon as I get there, I always ask my gatekeeper to keep an eye on me, to keep
yeah,
anything away from me that shouldn't be. To be honest, I've never really
definitely.
had a really bad experience at my churches. I've had a few like heartfelt moments and a bit of a scary moment when they're like coming up and creeping up on me and not letting me know that they're there. But
Yeah,
I can't say that I've ever really experienced anything really negative in a graveyard. I've not. And I
no,
find graveyards so peaceful and tranquil. But I will say to you, a graveyard feels completely different in the daytime to what it does at night. The energy does change. And
yes.
you do need to realise that it changes. Because
Anybody
who's
that's
really
been to
walking around a
Greyfriars
graveyard midnight? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like,
anybody that's been to
only
Greyfriars
investigators
when it gets
and
dark,
witches.
you'll know.
Yeah. It's been it it's been a very spiritual journey the past few weeks, sort of a line what a
Find a
find
true.
the true me and learning all the new stuff. I still do the breathing exercises Sherry puts up. Yes, and that's very good. That's what I'm saying, because meditation isn't just there to help you to open up, it's also there to put the protection around you. It calls your energies to come to you as well, to keep you safe as well. So that's why I do
Well,
that, not
doubt
just
when
because
I
it
do just
opens
now,
me, but
Michael.
it puts my protective shield around me. It helps me to be directly in communication with my deities and my energies, and they're aware that I'm going to be going.
Yeah.
So it's really important, guys, to make sure you do things like that and you do your prayers and stuff before you're leaving.
I
Definitely.
just want to say to
And carry
Michael,
that
brother,
stuff on you.
definitely,
Yeah.
brother
Go on.
Michael, I feel a bit of doubt. I think you're doubting your path too much right now as well. Don't doubt yourself. If you're not feeling up to it that day that you're going to go out, then don't go out. But I feel as if you're going to go out with confidence, go out knowing that you're going to communicate and you're going to have a good communication session and you're going to communicate with good spirits. Try and have an upbeat, this in your persona when you go out,
You've got to.
because it attracts good. Remember that. If you're in a kind of down mood when you go into somewhere, then these spirits are going to feel it on that wavelength, and that's who you'll attract. So if you're trying to be in a good mood and be really upbeat and happy when you go out, you're going to attract that energy. So I feel as if maybe if you are kind of doubting your paranormal path at the moment, take time out, wait till the summer or wait till the spring settles in, and then you'll have your path a little bit more settled. But work on yourself first a wee while, I think.
I do think that you need to do more of the exercises, brother, and learn to connect with yourself more, be in tune with yourself more, and like the more that you question what you can do and question what's going on, the more you're going to become shut to what's going on as well. So you've
Yeah,
got to be really open minded. The more you're telling yourself, no, I'm not going to see a spirit, I'm not going to communicate with it, they're not going to do this, it's not going to happen because you've put your mind in that
yeah,
concept, even though they are trying to. So always be in a positive mind. I think
yeah,
you're at this line and this place at the minute, brother, where you need to take, like sis said, you need to take time out for yourself. You need to do your meditation. You need to really start thinking in a positive way. The more that you're positive, the more you believe in something happening, it will.
well,
But if
yeah.
you don't
And
believe
it
in it,
won't be
it might
negative.
shut
Yeah,
your mind from seeing it and feeling it. And you don't want that. You need to be open when you're doing the investigations and things like that.
yeah.
So it's
And
probably
you're
not a
more
good idea
open
to
than
go
you
and do
know.
it.
Remember that you're open to these things as well, so you're probably a lot more open to it than you realise. It's some of the
Yes.
times when you're connecting to an energy that's not in a good mood or are not in a not a happy spirit, let's say, but they're still a spirit, they're still a human spirit, but they're not very nice, if you know, then you're going to kind of bounce off that energy if you are sensitive to it. So you always have to try and have the more upbeat. If you go into a location and you feel as if there's something there that is maybe not angry or bad, but just not in a good and not good spirit, it's going to curse you out, it's going to tell you to go away. If you feel as if you're getting that type of energy, then definitely try and be the yin and yang to it, and you try and bring this, because you can bring spirits around, you can talk to them, and you can make them understand while you're there.
Yeah.
You can make
But
them
not
feel
being
your
malicious
presence.
and being rude.
Yeah.
Don't be malicious and rude to them though. Like
And you
if
could
there's a spirit
probably
that's a
turn their
bit
mood around.
grumpy and a bit like go away, don't want to talk to you, don't like you, blah blah blah, just say, look, I'm not here to upset you. I'm not here to hurt you. I just
Yeah,
want to communicate. I want to know if you're okay. I'm sorry if I've upset you and stuff like that. You're 9 times out of 10 they'll come round and they'll realise that you're a genuine person. What you've got to realise is the paranormal is becoming a very big thing now, and a lot of people go there, and there's so many different teams that treat spirits in different ways, and
yeah,
if they remember being treated badly, they're going to think we're all the same. So you've got to
yeah.
reassure them that you're not like that. You know what I mean? So it's very
And you don't
important
know
to
what they're
always
going
be,
through.
even if you do get pissed off and upset with them and you're like, why are you having a go at me and why are you doing it, don't do that. Remember what it feels like for them, because I find that a lot of these investigators treat them like little circus acts, that they're
No.
their little toys, and they're not toys,
Yeah.
they're people. Do you know what I mean? They're people.
And it does take
So,
time to build up a reputation with some of them in these cemeteries, churches, old castles, and things. It does take time. There's no place on this earth you can go to within 10 minutes and get a communication. Usually, it'll take walking around, letting them feel your energy, letting them feel you out. Also takes like you giving them maybe sometimes a little offering, maybe even I don't know. It just depends, guys, and that's the point. It really does just depend on where you go. Do your research on where you're going as well. Find out what kind of ghost sightings are around there. Is it somewhere that there's been that the spirits have got cause to be angry, such as an old orphanage or something, or is it somewhere a little bit more upbeat? Do your research to what the land is all about before you go, and then you'll have a little bit of knowledge in what type of spirit you're going to run into as well. Is
and the
my
thing is, the
advice.
spirits are everywhere. Spirits are not just in
Yeah,
haunted houses and in graveyards and stuff. They're everywhere. I've been
yeah,
inside the shop like you, Sister Kim, and I've experienced it. I remember being in a shop, and I had my girls in there with me in
Oh,
their spirit
that's
form.
funny.
They were mucking about with the
Mute.
sweets and that and stuff like that, yeah. And they knocked the stuff off, and I was like, "Stop it!" And I like put the stuff back on. I could understand with them, but there was one occasion I went up there and I knew it weren't my girls because they were right next to me, and there was this bottle on the shelf, and it just fell off the shelf, and I stood there and I was like, "Oh my god." And I thought the shopkeeper was going to have a go at me and tell me off. And I went up to the thing and I was like, "Oh my god, like there's been an accident up there. I didn't do it." They go, "We've got cameras. We see it, weren't you? We see something come off the shelf." And I'd said to them, "You've got like something in here." They go, "No, we know that we've got something in here. Like it happens a lot. Like things will come off the shelf and stuff like that." I said, "If it's moving stuff, it's more than likely a poltergeist." Do you know what I mean? Because poltergeists intend to do that, move things. But literally, I looked at the girls, and it weren't the girls because they weren't moving. They were right next to me. But this energy in the shop decided to knock some stuff off the shelf, and I obviously crapped myself thinking I was going to have to pay for everything. But they see it weren't me. You know what I mean? Because they see it on the camera, and it's like, oh my god. And they go, "So like you sense them and stuff?" Then I was like, "Yeah, I do sense them, and I see them." I said, "But I couldn't see this one. I could just sense that there was somebody there near me." And I said, "And I just see the bottle come off the shelf and some of the other bits." I said, and it crapped me out because I thought, "Oh my god, I'm gonna have to pay for everything." You know what I mean? And they do a lot of poltergeists do that. But remember, guys, it's not just poltergeists that do that. Normal spirit can move things and drop things as well, if they get enough energy. But this was definitely a poltergeist by the feel of it, like you could
Yeah.
tell. And they said it was very mischievous. It happened a lot, which tells me it's a paranormal. It is a poltergeist. It is definitely, and it still goes on in there. But every time I go up there, because they know what I am now, they always go, "Oh, we've still got that stuff going on in there." And I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "I can still sense
See, I
it
wonder
here."
what was on the land.
Say that again.
I wonder what was on the land, because where you stay is really old Tudor town, isn't it? It's like an old Tudory
It's
type of
like an old
place.
Tudor town, and there used to be
Yeah.
soldiers and stuff here, and all of this used to be a lot of fields. So I reckon that maybe it's energies from like wars and stuff like that. But this poltergeist, and what you got to remember is poltergeists are not always unhuman spirit. A poltergeist can be in a human
Hi,
spirit as
Deborah.
well. They can. It's just that it's a noisy ghost, is what a
Yeah,
poltergeist is. It's something that's mischievous and
yeah.
causes
And
problems.
remember, we can make a poltergeist ourselves.
We
If
can,
we have
yes,
chaos energy all the time, that's got to
yeah,
go somewhere. So it usually forms its own little entity.
yeah. It's nuts, guys, and
It's great though. I love it. I really do love being
as
a paranormal
exciting
investigator.
as it is, you do need to be prepared if you're thinking about going into things like this, because you're going to see some of the most weirdest stuff
Yeah.
happen, and stuff that you're not going to be able to like understand.
See, I've
And
not ever seen a ghost yet. It's something that I can say, okay, that is a ghost with my own eye. I've
no,
never
you wait
seen
till
that
you do,
yet.
sis. I'm telling you, you will
Yeah.
never ever believe yourself ever again after you see one of them. Believe
I've
me,
seen
you'll
one
be
on the
like, "Oh my god."
camera after I came back and things, and I didn't see it at the time. Also, my very first investigation I went on, where I was with Lanarkshire Paranormal, they were doing all the investigating, but I was in the little cottage, the little gatehouse at the time, and the little boy spirit, you hear all the lights were off, but I had my voice recorder on, and you hear his footsteps come across the floor. And then I was asking him to hold my hand. And the only way I can explain it is it felt as if you do that with velvet down your hand. That's what it felt like. So that is an experience. I actually forgot about that experience for a long time until I
Yeah,
remember. But
a
that
lot
is
of
one of the
people
experiences that
say
I've
that
had.
it
Just like,
feels like a velvety feeling, or it feels like a feather or something
yeah, like a
brushing your
static
hands.
velvety feel, yeah.
Sometimes, like it'll either feel like velvet, or it'll feel like a sort of a feather, like a feathery feeling. Sometimes you get the splashes of water that hits your hand. That's another sign of them as well. Like it feels like
Yeah.
water's falling on you, but it isn't falling on you. That's really weird. Or cobwebs. Walking into a
Yeah,
cobweb, you feel like you've walked into a cobweb, but you
I
haven't.
get that a lot.
Like it, they're all signs. You know what I mean? Like it's nuts. It
The
is
only
nuts.
really doomy feeling that I can say when we were walking up to Craigneston Castle, I think I was live. If I had, yeah, I was live, because if I hadn't been live, I would have turned back, because I really was quite what it felt like, guys, it was, see, and I've spoken about this before, the feeling of going to your doom, as if you're walking somewhere and something bad is really going to happen. I felt that
Yeah.
so intensely walking up to Craignethan
Hey,
Castle.
Genesis.
But I think back looking on it now, because I did a little bit of research on it, and I feel as if because it was a castle. Remember, way back in the day, especially in Scotland, the castles and things were a form of punishment. So people would get hung. They would all their punishment and things would happen outside the castle. So the way I see it is, a lot of people would walk to their doom. They would know that they were going up to their judgment and things. And I felt as if maybe at
Yeah.
Craignethan Castle, even though it's maybe not in the history books, there was maybe a lot of that went on. So I feel as if that was really,
Yeah, but
it wasn't
the
scary, but
thing
it was
is back
really,
in back in them days, a lot of stuff that happened to people wasn't registered or wrote down. So there is a lot of stuff that you wouldn't
I
know,
knew
but
it
you would
wasn't
sense
my
it by
energy
being
though.
sensitive and things like that.
Hmm.
Um, and like the footsteps on the floors, I remember when Sister Drew was here, there was a few times that Chloe and them were walking on my laminating in the hallway.
Oh,
We
my
could hear like the
charger
footsteps
cable,
walking
remember?
across. And the charger, the
I
doll grabbed Drew's
grabbed my
charger.
charger.
I was holding
So,
it.
so the dolls were on the floor, right? And I plugged my charger cable into right where the dolls were. And I made sure the cable didn't touch them because I didn't want them being offended. See, when I woke up in the morning and go get my phone, she was holding the cable in her hands. I kid you not, I
Literally
wish I had
holding the
got
cable,
a
guys.
picture, honestly. Yep. So things
And
like that will happen to you all
and
the
it's not
time.
just it's not just with the spirits as well. What you've got to remember is there's other forms that are in the spirit realm. Like you've got your fae, and you've got your elementals, you've got all sorts of energy that you can connect with. And I tell you, like going to my fairy woodland, you feel so
So that
much
was
in that
amazing.
place.
Hmm. That's
That
that.
is
You have to
unbelievable.
experience
You
it. Yeah.
walk in there, you say something, they literally blow the wind past you so that to let
Mm.
you know that they've heard what you're saying. They
It,
respond
it's
through
nuts.
certain ways to let you know they're hearing you. It,
Yeah. I do believe there's these
you see,
little
if you got in
snippets
there,
of
Sister
places.
Drew said something to me, and she goes, "Oh," she goes, "I think they might have heard us." I said, "Yeah, that's them letting you know that they did hear what you're saying." Like this breeze just come past her,
Well,
like
there's loads of
literally,
things
it's
like
just like,
that happened. There was honestly,
yeah.
there's loads of things like that happened all the time. It was nuts. What else happened? We walked just as we were walking in the gate. There was the feather as well. Remember? Just that. In
Yes.
fact, there
Yeah.
was two. Oh no, that was when I was with Kerry. There was two feathers. Oh, it was loads of little things happened, guys. It's crazy. We were live for a lot of it, so a lot of you will remember it. But there was little
And
moments that you just knew it.
I'd said something to you about that they said that they had some sort of gift or something, and we found a teddy bear. There was a little teddy
Oh
bear like
yeah,
near the fence. Remember that? They'd
yeah, that's
left a teddy
crazy.
bear. There was a teddy bear there or something.
There was
That's still
loads of
hanging up
things,
there.
guys. They were just answering everything that we wanted, everything we asked, they answered. It's honestly, it was the best experience I've ever had, magically
It is.
wise.
It's just, and it's a
Yeah,
beautiful feeling there, guys. There's nothing bad feeling there. Like you might go
yeah,
to little areas and
definitely.
feel like
Oh,
some parts
cows,
of it are a little bit darker because of the darker energies of
the
the
bloody
day, but
cows.
it's
Sister Kerry will
beautiful.
be laughing. Remember the cows? I was like,
Yeah,
no, I'm not doing
Drew
it.
was more scared of the cat. Drew was
I was like,
Drew
no,
was more
not doing
scared of
it.
the cows than anything else. You know what I mean? Like no, I was like, sis, stop
Then the little
doing that. I
baby
just
one
walk
chased me.
normal. Come on, they're gonna come over. To you. She's like, oh
I was chased by a car of all things. That was funny. But there's little things all the time. The way I see it
I do
is,
have questions. We know wind or blast is a spirit. What is it? What what is it when? Hang on a minute. I've lost that
a
thing again.
warm
Let
wind
me get
goes
that.
past you.
Where's it gone? Um,
It just depends, brother Michael.
Sorry,
It
the
could be a cold
StreamYards is
wind or
really
a
badly
hot
playing
wind.
up today.
It could be a cold wind or a hot wind. It doesn't matter. It's just what that spirit wants to
Do I
manifest.
have a? I do have a question. we know cold wind or blasts is a spirit. What is it when a warm wind goes past you? Well, spirits can give off warm or cold energy. Um, so you've got to put that in mind. Sometimes a warmer energy and maybe a warmer energy with a funny, horrible smell is probably not a good sign. But
Yeah.
what people think
It
is that
really
when spirits
depends on the
communicate with them,
area and things.
they're just cold, and not all spirits give off cold energy. Some of the spirits
Yeah.
give off a warm energy. They're all very different.
See, a lot of the history and things will answer a lot of your questions. I mean, some of these places that you go, if you look back the history on them, also look back people's experiences. A lot of these, especially if it's a tourist place that you go, a lot of them are get documented now with paranormal experiences. So look back what their people's experiences was. Was there somebody else's experience at that place?
It could be. Yep. Well, maybe
You
he was like an old. He was maybe another owner. Maybe he was an owner before your grandparents.
probably,
They
or
do
it could have
intend
been
to
an
stay around some of
ancestor.
their places.
Yeah,
That's
could have been
another
an
thing with
ancestor.
spirits. Like spirits sometimes will stay behind and stay in places that where they have their memories and where they remember things and stuff like that. So
Yep.
he was at the table in underwear and a t-shirt reading the newspaper. Yeah, probably like a
Residual. Yeah, experience. He probably did
past
that every morning
resident.
in life. Yeah.
No pressure. What, as Debbie said something. Have I missed something, Debbie?
Well,
Sorry,
that was the
sis.
question about the wind, was Debbie.
Yeah.
It's a great experience though, guys. Or anybody that's looking to get into it, just definitely protect and talk to your guys. That's the best advice I could ever give anybody, is to make sure your protection's
And just
okay.
put in your protection. Yeah.
Yeah.
Protection, your
And do your
guides.
ritual
And
bath
just
and
always make
things.
sure you do your prayers and stuff like that. And
And when you
just
get
keeping
home,
yourself safe,
especially,
guys.
yeah, especially when you
Yeah.
get home, do a little ritual in your. Like when I go out, I do a little ritual in my altar. I welcome in my spirits. I welcome in my ancestors, my spirit guides, my angels, my timber, who's my wolf. But when you come back in as well, also go onto your altar and say thank you to them. Thank you for the protection. Thank you for the knowledge of voice to know how to speak to the spirits. Say things like that to them, because that builds up the rapport, to make sure that when you go out ghost hunting or doing any spiritual work, that you get the best out of it.
Yeah, no.
Yep.
Welcome to the ghostly family. Don't be scared or worried. Paranormal hub. It's all very natural, okay? And like if you do keep the protection up around you, and just look out for the
Yeah.
signs. Like if you're getting like a warm energy and it's got an unpleasant smell, then maybe it is something a little bit more worrying. But if it's just a warm energy breeze going past you, it's more than likely just a spirit crossing through and not meaning any problems at all. I later found out it was my great granddad. He watches over me now. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can have family that stick around you and stuff, sis. So that you know, I do
Have
have
you looked at it?
a special tomorrow night on my channel. I'm live at Unsalt 9:30, but I have a paranormal puppet with me. Well, that's cool, but just be very, very careful and respectful.
You'll
Okay.
need to tag our groups in them, Paranormal Hub, Michael. You need to tag our groups on Facebook in them, and then we'll know when you're live, and we'll come in and support you more.
Sherry and Drew, how do you know a spirit? Oh, hang on a minute. Not that one. We'll go to that one in a minute. Willow and Drew, do you either of you have an altar to connect with the deities that you work with? Yes, I have an ancestral and deity altar that I connect to my energies and my spirits. Yes,
Don't know if you
and
see
I
it
also
behind me.
use my witchy altar as well, and that's where Sisters is behind her.
I've
Yeah,
got
we
one in my
always use our
bedroom.
altars to communicate and connect with them always. Yeah.
The one in my bedroom, I don't really show anybody. That's my private altar. That's the one that I've got Santa Murta on.
Yeah.
That's the one that I do a lot of my serious spell work on, and a lot of my prayer work on that altar. This altar here is more for healing. It's more for support. That's Hecate's altar. and also the moon goddess. They kind of share that altar together. So that's a kind of mix match altar for all my
I
ancestors as
always,
well. Yeah.
I always connect. I always connect to like Hike and Cananos and things like that when
Yeah.
I'm doing my rounds outside and doing investigations and stuff like that. I always call on my deities. I call on my ancestors. I'll put herbs and certain oils and crystals out for them. I
Yeah.
welcome them into the circle, and I welcome my opening to communication with them. And like Sister Drew said, and I did say earlier, I always do rituals and do things when I get back as well
Yeah. Definitely.
to make
You've got
sure that everything's clear and everything's safe.
to say thank you. Be grateful
Right, there's
to them
another
for
one there, hang on.
protecting you. That's what I do it for. To be grateful to them.
Sherry and Drew, how do you know a spirit is your deceased loved one and not some malevolent shapeshifter? But you'll always be able to tell by like feelings and stuff. Like
I
when
can
it's
tell
malevolent and that, no matter
instantly.
how bad an energy or anything is, you will always have some form of feeling, like a very heavy feeling. You may get really horrible smells around you. It just doesn't feel comfortable, no
When my
matter how
grand's
much it
around, I
tries to
smell
disguise itself.
honeysuckle.
You can always feel that
Yeah.
something don't feel right with it. When it's your loved one, you get the more protection and loving
Recognise feeling.
feeling.
Yeah.
That they may do specific things as well, like they may like your relative's favorite song comes on, or you might smell their perfume or their
Yeah.
aftershave, or you might smell something that
I
distinctly
think
reminds you of them. There's many ways that they can reach out to you and
see, my gran
let you
always
know they're
had
there.
soft hands as well. With Timber, my wolf, I always know when he's around me because my feet are either warm or cold. So if my feet are warm, I
Yeah.
know he's around. And usually I can feel him lift off my feet and go away. Not that he's constantly always sitting on my feet. I don't mean that. I think it's more a feeling that he gives me when he's leaving and when he's here. You
Yes.
know,
Yeah.
and you get to
They give you
recognise that type of
certain
thing.
feelings,
Yeah,
certain smells. There'll be things that represent to them that you would just know. Some people can just tell when it's their relatives as well. They
yeah,
know by the energy and the feel of them. They remember
yeah.
that
I'm up
feeling
my
that they
man. I
gave
think.
when they were here. Look,
Yep.
there's lots of ways to be able to tell the difference between a
You just know
malevolent, and no matter how
there's
much a
a known.
malevolent spirit tries to disguise itself from you, you can always feel when something's not good. You can always feel it.
Yeah, it's just not
So
right. Usually my chest and things
yeah,
will get really tight if there's something not so good around.
yeah.
I usually start feeling
Or
it
a
around
pressure,
here.
you'll feel like something's on your shoulders or something's on your
Yeah,
chest. You might get horrible smells.
take your
You
breath as well
you might
sometimes.
feel on edge. You might get angry. You might get upset. Like there's so many ways that they can affect you that you'd be
Yeah,
like, yeah, no, I don't like this. Most
that's
people
not my
can just
energy.
walk in a room and they're like, yeah, I don't like the feel of that. I'm moving
Yeah,
away from there. You can normally
definitely.
tell. You know what I mean?
Yeah. At my work, there's a spirit of a man through the back, but he's not always there. I feel he comes and goes at certain times of the month, for example. Maybe like, see, that used to be an old, the shop across the road where I work used to be an old council yard. So it used to be where the workmen would put their lorries. They would have be an old, like, there was like an old snow bale thing there that would have the salt and things on it. So I feel as if maybe he was there at certain times of the year. So therefore, maybe that's where the
Yeah,
canteen was. And you can feel his energy. I sometimes see him out the corner of my eye as well, just kind of shush back past, and I think, that's that man. And a couple of times as well, my boss is really
yeah,
tall. So over the counter you can usually see the top of her head go past. And one day I was thought it was her and I looked and I was like, where did she go? And I was like, that wasn't even her. And there was nobody in the shop. So that type of thing happens to me a lot. So I don't usually see them, but I can feel their energy, and there's little things go past. Like I'll see the shush go past my eye and things, but I've never actually seen a physical spirit yet. But you'll get things like that all the time when
I've always
spirits are
tried
around.
paranormal hub. You're very right. Your most opening way to be able to tell anything is listening to your senses and how you feel. That will
Definitely,
never ever do you wrong. That will tell
yeah,
you if something's right or wrong. Definitely.
for sure.
And you don't
Instinct
have
is
to be
different.
open and be spiritual to be able to feel that. You can be a normal
That
person that ain't got, don't use
that
abilities and
was
still be able to tell
me.
if somewhere's good or bad. You know what I mean?
That was me,
Can
guys.
you close a
Honestly,
portal? Yes, you can close a portal.
definitely.
Normally,
Yeah,
when there's portals, you have an entrance portal and you have a portal that where you
exit
leave.
portal.
So you
Yeah,
never ever close the portal where you're leaving. You close the portal where you're entering.
when they come in.
Okay, because you
Yeah,
don't ever want
always
to close your
leave an open
closing portal
portal.
because it means that nothing can get out. You know what
Think
I mean?
about it,
And
guys, especially
I've
in
done
our
it with
field.
I've done it with like stones and herbs and stuff and my pendulum, a clockwise motion, and it'll tell you when there's a
That's the
portal
way I
when you go
usually do
near
it.
areas. It'll start spinning
Pendulum.
clockwise and it'll
Yeah,
start spinning. You put your oils, you put your herbs and stuff down, and you focus on that energy that's there getting smaller. And you're visualizing that as your pendulum spinning, and as it keeps spinning, it'll get slower and slower until it stops, and that's when the portal shut,
it's just
and
the
then you
light
do
in
like
my
more
eye.
of your oils and your
Yeah,
incense and your herbs and stuff after as well, just to make sure it's definitely shut and stuff
with
like
me it's the
that.
light.
Can
The-
spirits create portals? Yes,
With me it's
spirits
the light,
create
guys.
portals all the time.
Yeah,
Spirits are
there's a
very
light.
known for creating portals. That's why you get a lot of them. Yeah,
When I'm trying to close a portal or open a portal, I always imagine a bright light getting smaller and smaller and smaller, or brighter and brighter and brighter. So you could
yeah,
probably do it. What you
yeah.
recognise as, you could do it with probably anything. It just whatever works for you is what's important.
Just focus. You walk around with your pendulum and it'll be still. And when you get to an area where it is, it'll start spinning. And you just visualize that color, that light,
Yeah,
and you'll see it really massive, and then it'll just start to shrink, and the
shut
pendulum will
down.
slow down, and then it'll stop when it's shut. It'll
Or you'll feel it.
and it's the same when you open them. Like if you're needing to, because sometimes you have to open portals to help spirits go as well. So you would just visualize your pendulum and that area slowly opening, but always remember to close them as well. I
Yeah,
mean, like I said, your entrance one you is the one you always close, not the one where they're leaving. You don't want to close that one.
definitely. Yeah, especially if you're doing like some sort of divination,
And
always leave the portal open. Cover it with either linen and make sure it doesn't
cover
void.
the linen. Yeah, that's another one. Your mirrors are very much part of portals. Mirrors form portals. If you've got mirrors that are facing each other and reflect, they can open portals as well. So it's always really important that if you've
I've
got
got
mirrors
oil
that
in
are
all my
direct
mirrors, guys.
facing
I've
each
got,
other, keeping one of them covered, keeping them covered and stuff like that is very important because
yep,
mirrors are very known for being portals. Definitely.
definitely. Yep, I would agree with
It
that.
might
Don't ever
anger the
touch
spirit if
each
you
other
close a
either.
portal. They could come back with a vengeance. Not necessarily. If you're in a place and you're being called into a place because there's spirits that's giving havoc, you can close the portals, but don't close the one where they leave. You close the one where they're entering. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, you'll feel it if you are spiritually connected. You'll definitely feel if there's portals there open. You'll definitely feel it. It's a crazy energy. You'll feel the vacuum of it. You'll tell straight away. I was taught
Um,
as a young boy
I
demons
was
can
taught that
go
as a young boy, demons cannot go through portals. Demons can go through portals. I hope you do know that. They can go through that. Demons can shapeshift and go smaller if they had to. They can get through
yeah, it
portals.
could be anything they want to be.
Definitely. Yeah.
And you
They
can manifest
shapeshift. They're
things as
demons, you know what I
well.
mean? So
Yeah, they know how to use all the
yeah.
energies. So they do. Thank you, Hob. Appreciate that. This is what Sherry and I love to do, is to sit here and just talk about witchcraft, paranormal, answer questions. That's what we've always wanted these streams to be about.
There's
So
all
remember, guys, sharing is
there's
really
always
important.
gonna be there's always gonna be energies that are not happy with you doing certain things and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, but sometimes these things like the portals being closed has to be done. So if you do it correctly, that there's no them coming back, not that way, unless they're opening another portal, and then you close that portal as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Get your guides
yes,
to
Sherry
walk
is
the
correct.
course.
They sure can go through the portals. They can. I've seen it come through a portal. I've seen a negative energy come through a portal, so I know that they can definitely come through. And I know
Yeah.
Sister Mystical knows what she's talking about as well.
Mystical need to join
And
us
Sister
on one of
Drew,
these streams.
believe me, any mental can come through a portal. Yeah, I mean they can. You do, yes. Don't ever let people tell you that demonic or any big entity can't come through portals. Yes, they can. They can shapeshift.
Yeah, for sure they can.
Definitely.
They're great
Yeah.
foolers. They fool you. I must
And I
admit, though,
love
to be
doing
fair,
do you know what? It's been a long time since me and Sister Drew sat here and talked about paranormal to people and gave advice. It's really
exactly,
good
yeah,
just to have a night talking like this. It's
I
really
know.
cool.
See, everybody likes the witchcraft
Check
stuff, the
doors and windows are
spirituality
locked.
stuff.
Check the doors and
Always
windows are
say,
locked. I'm afraid you having a locked door and a window is not going to stop a spirit coming through,
no.
my love.
Always say, a witch is who I am, but paranormal is my love. It's my, do you know what I mean? It's the thing that I just adore. I love being a paranormal
Okay, what's this
investigator.
one?
I love speaking to the spirits.
What are shadow people to you? Human, demonic, street energy.
It depends.
To be
There's so
honest,
many
I think they
shadows.
can be any of them. You've got
There's
some
so
people,
many different
some
shadow
people that
beings.
can, some normal spirit energy. You can get some energies that show in
It's
like
all of that.
a shadow that are human spirit, and you can get
Yep.
demonics that come in shadow. Like they can, any spirit can form in a shadow.
Yep. And then I'm going to say this. I wasn't going to say it, but I'll say it. When I stopped streaming with that last team that we were streaming with, I stopped seeing Shadow Man. He left the park. So
That's very
Shadow
true,
Man for
sis.
a lot of the time, yeah, was coming up and he was sitting in the park for a long time. He'd come and sit in the swings and just sit there. And you would feel his energy there and you would see him shush back and forward. But
A
when we
lot of
stopped,
times they
I
even like
stopped,
disguise
he was
themselves
not
as
here anymore.
children. You will find that with a lot of demonic spirits. Yeah, a lot of demonic spirits will disguise as children to
Because you
try and
know
fool
that you
you.
feel
Even
sorry
shadow
for
people
them.
will come as even shadow people, even like the negative shadow people will disguise as children and stuff like that. Yeah,
Because they pull at your heartstrings, they try and humanise themselves. Anything that's going to
yeah,
get you to think they're good, they'll pull.
yeah. They can be any. Yeah, shadow people can be negative, can be good. It really depends on the spirit.
Yeah,
Again,
just
using your
depends.
senses and how you feel around that energy at the time will tell you a lot about what it is. Definitely.
Trust your instincts on everything.
Yeah, no, just because it's a shadow doesn't mean it's negative. Some human form spirits will disguise in shadow because they don't want to show themselves properly. They don't want
Yeah,
people to
don't
see
want you to
them.
see their
It's just how
wounds
they
and
do it.
things.
So not
Yeah.
everything that's shadow is evil. Yeah. Hang on, here's another one. We're getting a lot of questions tonight, sis. Do you think it's possible when people experience sleep paralysis, are they really seeing shadow people? Look, there's a massive
Some,
category on sleep paralysis. A
yeah,
lot of people put it down to being sleep paralysis, but there's been some very scary experiences that people have had that you couldn't put it down to being sleep paralysis
no,
at all.
definitely.
You know what I mean?
I've had
Just by
sleep
what they've
paralysis a
experienced
few
and stuff like
times.
that.
I've had it a few times, and the
And
way to figure it out is try and reach out. I had one a couple of weeks ago, and I knew how I was being pinned down, and I didn't feel as if I was being pinned down by a spirit or an entity or anything. I felt as if it was
you get
something I couldn't wake out of. You know,
when you
the way I tested it was I felt sorry for God.
when you go to professionals, and if you said about anything like this, they would put it down to being sleep paralysis. But when
Yeah,
you're seeing people in front of you and shadows and things like that, that I'm sorry, that's not sleep paralysis. That's something going
no,
on.
that's
You know what I mean?
definitely
Like you can
something
tell the
going on.
difference.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I could tell
definitely.
the difference. It was definitely wasn't a spirit that was doing it. It was something medical or
Yes,
something. I
the
just couldn't
pendulum
feel
does
myself.
work for closing portals. You're right there,
Oh
Scott.
yeah,
It's
the
very,
pendulum
very
I
good for
use.
closing portals. Yeah,
I
and
use.
opening them.
Yeah, you'll find different
But it's
tools though.
again, you've got to be acknowledgeable doing it. Don't
Yeah,
just go doing it. You've got to be acknowledgeable and research and learn how to do it first, because you could be opening anything or closing anything, and
yeah, definitely.
it's more than just putting a
That's
pendulum in
when
front
to
of
do
it
it.
and letting it spin. You've got to put things down, like I said, oils and
Yeah,
herbs and all sorts of things to keep that place protected and stuff. So
and definitely
it's really
don't do it
important to
somewhere
remember
like
that,
a
guys.
cemetery.
No, not in a cemetery. When you're in your home or places, buildings and things like that, yes. But when you're in cemeteries and stuff, no, because there's always got to be an area to come in and come out. So don't touch like woodlands or cemeteries or anything like that. There's a reason for the portals being there. You know what I mean? Unless it's like a little area on a build on somebody's land and
Yeah,
they're having trouble, that's different. But when you're going to public places, no. You know what I mean?
leave it to
Do
the
not
elementals. The
even attempt
elementals
it.
will deal with all that. That's what they're there for.
Right, we've got a lot of questions here. What's this one? What is your view on Ouija boards? People say they are portals for demons. Ouija
Well,
boards are a form of communication. If you know how to use it properly and connect with it properly, then you can have really good experiences with it. But
always say
I
it
personally don't
for
like you.
guys.
I don't like using the Ouija boards. I've
I
never
don't
been
use them
interested in
either.
the Ouija boards, but
I spoke to Mr.
you know,
Ouija himself.
I've heard
To
lots of
try.
stories. I've heard people say they've had really pleasant experiences on the Ouija boards, and I've
Yeah.
had others that've said that they've been really negative. So it's
The
mixed.
thing is, with everything, set your own rules. Make sure you are the
Yeah,
master of whatever communication you are doing. So even with the spirit box and things, you say, I only want to speak to good spirits or my ancestors or whoever. Set your intent. Even with the Ouija board, I wouldn't use one, but if I have used one in the past to try and use it, but it didn't work. And I know now it's my ancestors that block it. But with anything, set your rules. Set you be the boss of it. Say, I only want to speak to good
well,
spirits. When I say
there are
goodbye, not
specific ways to
goodbye.
use it. There are
Yeah,
specific ways to
exactly.
use them. You know what I mean? Like you would use the prayer to open them. You would directly ask for the energy you're wanting to communicate with. Then you would
Yes.
talk to that energy.
It's the
They would
same with
come through,
every
and you would have
communication.
protective stuff around the Ouija board to stop anything negative getting into it. You would do that as well. And obviously, when you finish, don't move the placket off the board. You have to say goodbye, and you have to do
Yeah,
the prayer that's linked to the board to close it. Don't ever move the placket off the board when you're using it.
no,
Do
just
not
don't
do
do it.
that. Yeah.
The thing is, set your rules with everything. Make sure you're the boss, that you're the master, that you're the one that's setting all the rules, all the intent.
You've got to be in control. Yeah,
Hmm.
you have. Yeah. Uh, or unless you are very experienced like us three and can use it in a cemetery to cross over. Yeah, like in that case, yeah, you wouldn't do it
Yeah,
to you wouldn't close or open a portal in a cemetery, but you may form an energy that it gives a doorway for the energies to leave. Because
yeah,
obviously, myself and Sister Drew and Sister Mystical, we do cross over spirits. We do help spirits to go to the light. So there is a technique to doing that. So
yeah,
yeah, we
definitely.
do have to form some form of portal to do that. And you've probably said, if you like I said, if you go onto our channels, there are videos where we're crossing spirits and stuff over, and you see
I
what we
haven't
have
done
to
it at
do
a cemetery,
to
but I do it
help them.
outside the gates. I've crossed over at a
Yeah,
cemetery
not
for
in the
breathing,
cemetery,
but I
but
do it
yeah.
outside the gate.
But
Sort of,
you can open an energy channel in the cemetery to help spirits
yeah,
go over. It's not opening a portal, it's just a light that you
yeah.
form for them to go through. It's different. You know what I mean?
Christina told me about
But
that.
I've got videos on my channel that shows you how to cross spirits and how you open the portals to cross them over and things like that. And I always do it linked to my altar. I always make sure my energies and my deities and everything's around me, and that they guide the spirits over to the light as
Yeah.
well.
It's
So
very important to have
yeah,
somebody to guide the spirit to the other side, guys. It's very important. I
Yeah.
usually use
There's
Billy
always
or
got to be somebody there waiting.
yep.
I've seen mostly orbs or white lights and a white mist, but I haven't seen shadows. Yeah, but that's still a form of spirit. Not all spirit will show you directly and in full apparition. Some of them will come in light
Wet
or
spot.
orbs or in some sort of form of mist. It's them forming, and it's them letting you know that they're there.
Exactly.
So
They say never
they
burn a
say
Ouija
never to
board.
burn a Ouija board. No, no, never, ever, ever burn a Ouija board. No,
See, you just don't know what's attached
it's a
to it. The
portal,
minute you
guys.
start to use it,
It's a
you know,
portal.
yeah, just stay away
I
from them.
wouldn't burn a Ouija board. Just leave them
Just
alone.
let the spirit
Leave
box
them alone.
decide.
Like,
Yeah,
leave them. I'm not against anyone that does them, but leave it to the professionals, the ones that know how to use them. Just don't
yeah,
play with them if you don't know how to use them. Just
yeah.
leave
Do
them.
your
Leave it to the
research.
people that do. You know.
I know they've got a
Yeah.
bad reputation, and it's also just a form
Christina
of
told me about
divination.
that. I'm sure we said to you, Scott, long before Christina did about that sort of stuff, like burning the Ouija boards and stuff. I've done many shows to do with the Ouija boards and stuff.
Yeah, we've said it loads of times.
Yeah.
The thing is that
Yeah.
sister and I have been doing
A
these
lot of
streams
our education
for
is gone
years.
to other people.
Yeah,
They've learned through other people's education. You know what I mean? A lot of these people you're watching and have learned through us and through
yeah.
pups
We've done
and everything
many,
else. So
many streams.
yeah, yeah. People take our
That's where
advice
we
because we know what we're talking about.
keep sharing out, keep reaching new people so that we don't have to keep repeating ourselves and things, so that people are learning and they're growing and they're coming along the journey with us growing. We don't always want to have to start at the beginning and keep
I do agree
regurgitating
with that.
information. It should
I
be
do, but
so.
I agree with that. I don't
I
believe that they
think,
should be selling the Ouija boards as toys.
yeah,
No, that definitely shouldn't be. No,
that's nuts to me. It really is. That's
no.
like giving kids
Yeah,
spirit
it is.
boxes.
It's not good doing that, and it is crazy that they do that. And like I think that if you're going to be somebody that's open to using a Ouija board and know how to use a Ouija board, they should be purchased privately and things like that, because it isn't a game.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so much more. Like, there are a lot of links to the Ouija boards, like in the olden days, and I remember hearing Nico say it as well. I think it was Nico. That they used to actually use the Ouija board as a way of dating. In the Victorian times, obviously, a man and a woman weren't allowed to touch each other, so they would use the Ouija board as a way to be able to be intimate with each other without people knowing. So it's been used for a lot of reasons. It's been used for like dating and bringing people together. It's been used as a toy for children to play with and stuff like that. But a lot of people don't realize that it's such a connection to spirit. It's connection to spirit. You know what I mean?
It's
A lot of it. There's a lot of
I was
history
meant
behind the
to,
Ouija boards and what they're used for.
yeah, I was meant to interview Ryan Espich. He calls himself Mr. Ouija, and basically he's used the spirit. He started using the Ouija
Yeah,
board with his grandmother or his aunt. I think it was his aunt actually. They used to use the Ouija board together, and when she passed away, he had her spirit board, I think it was, and through time he started to talk to her through the board, and he only ever speaks to his aunt. I think it is his aunt or his gran, and he only ever speaks to her through the board. So he also advises you to not speak to random spirits through the board, and he calls himself Mr. Ouija. So to pick one spirit to talk to through the board and stick to it is his advice. So there's loads of ways that people do it, guys. It's just another form of divination. Just be careful with everything to do with spirituality and communicating with
exactly. That's what I'm
because
saying. And the thing is when you get a Ouija boards and stuff like that, and like people go on about, oh, I'd burn it. You don't know who's used it before, if it was closed properly or anything like that. And if you get
you
scared and suddenly don't close it and burn it, you've just left that door open,
can't
like
do
Mr. was
that.
saying.
No,
Literally,
yeah,
you can't go
definitely
doing stuff like that. And
be
there are a
respectful.
lot of history behind them. But one of the most oldest stories for like I was saying to you, for Ouija boards was in the Victorian times. Men and women could not interact if
Mm.
they weren't married. They used that as a form of being able to
That's
be
nuts, isn't it? Touch each other's hands. Yeah, with
intimate
their
with each
fingers.
other without making it obvious. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They touch each other's hands to be intimate and things like that. So,
that's
but
crazy.
yeah, they are.
When you think of that.
It's linked to spirit, guys, and the Victorians very soon come to find out that you could talk to the dead on the board.
Mm,
They
yeah,
become very in. Victorians were one of the first um scenery of people that become very interested in the other
exactly.
side. They were very attached to it, very much so.
Mystical explains
Seances,
it pretty
everything.
good.
They were loads of it.
Mystical, yeah, Mystical says if you use the board and you don't know what you're doing, and you open up a portal and crap happens and you get scared and you burn it, then you just messed up because you need that board to close the portal.
Exactly, that's what I was just saying because I read it. Yeah,
Yeah,
you would. That's why I didn't know, guys. Like, if you don't have any clue about a Ouija boards, leave them alone. Just leave them alone.
definitely.
Literally, leave it to the professionals.
Yeah, people that has at least got some sort of knowledge of it. I
I
just
have knowledge
my
of it, but
favourite
I just don't. Well, I don't like using them. I just don't find an appeal to be using them. But there are
My
people that do.
favourite tool is the
You
PSB
know,
7. The PSB 7, the original PSB 7
spirit
is my
boxes and stuff are enough,
yeah,
guys. They're a big enough portal for me. Like, and
exactly.
myself, I'm already in communication with spirit. I don't need an Ouija board to communicate. I can do it anyway. So
Exactly, yeah. The PSB 7 I like
yeah,
because you can hear the clear voices, but I also like necrophonic because necrophonic, I don't know what it is.
yeah.
There's just, especially if you put the reverb off,
You get
you can hear.
a lot of negative compliments about these apps and these things, like you were saying earlier, sis. But I've had some compelling evidence where they've answered questions, and I've been sat in places and they've said where I'm sitting and what they see, and it's like that. There's no way that can say that if they're not here.
Exactly.
You know what I
That's
mean?
why.
Like, you just
Yeah,
know
that's where I
when
think
they're
you've got to
communicating.
know your spirit.
Yeah,
Yeah. And the spirits get to know you.
yeah.
For definitely sure, keep going back as well. That's my best advice. Keep going back to the places that you visit. Build up that relationship with the spirits of that area. Make sure
Patience and persistence pays off in the end.
definitely patience as well is a big thing because it
Yeah,
takes maybe a good hour or something before you'll even get a hit in your K2, and that's where you know the spirits of that area. So it really is about being patient and being understanding
I
and
did.
things.
I did a cleansing at a house. The lady had 5 kids. They used a board and something evil came through. They were seeing blood all over the floor every day. So they called me in to close it. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I'm saying. Like, if you don't know how to use it, don't use it because it's ridiculous and it can be very dangerous. You know what I mean?
yeah,
If you don't know what you're doing. Yeah.
definitely.
And
Remember
it is
that
coming up to 2 hours, guys.
paranormal is scary for a reason. You're dealing with the unknown. That's
Yeah.
what's scary about it to me is the fact that you don't know what you're stepping into a lot of the time. That's why you've got to have trust in your tools and yourself. You've got to have trust in your guides, trust your tools,
Trust
and
in you,
trust in
trust in your
yourself,
spirit.
yeah. And trust that you're going to get
Yeah,
good
trust in yourself,
communication.
trust in your spirit.
Yeah,
Um,
your tools especially.
always, always be open-hearted and always be cautious as well, guys. Don't always think that you're going to be safe and that nothing's going to happen to you or anything
Yeah,
like that.
definitely.
Always be safe.
Yeah,
Protection is key.
for sure. Definitely, protection is key.
I have never used an electronic device to connect. I do. I can connect directly to spirit, but I use the electronic devices for the very thoughts in my investigations because a lot of my guys that come in, some of them are gifted, but there are people that can't see or sense anything. So it's good to have a device so they can see what's happening.
Definitely, yeah.
But as long as you know how to use them and you protect yourself and you do the right things
Trust
with the
in your
devices,
gift,
they're
yeah.
fine to use.
Yeah. I know now,
Time
Drew.
has flied, but it always flies when you're enjoying it. And
I
I've
know now.
enjoyed tonight.
Timber will stay quiet. When I'm out investigating, Timber and everything will stay quiet. Nothing will be said about Timber whatsoever. The minute it comes through the spirit box or whatever I'm using, that Timber is there, I know something's going to happen. That's what I've learned through doing
Yeah,
this for so long. Timber will be with
yeah.
me. It'll
Aura's the
stay
same.
quiet.
Aura won't.
Yeah.
Aura will be there. I can always see Aura around me, but she will never ever intervene or say anything unless she has to. If Aura
Yeah.
speaks, I know, like, yeah,
Something's
go
going to go down. Yeah.
or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Very true. It is. Oh, you're still here, like that's brilliant. I hope you're all right. And you
Blessings
would
to
know,
you all.
mate, Mister, with all of your special objects in your house.
You.
I do leave it alone. I see them enough and know I'm not taking any chances. Good, Scott. You know what I
Good.
mean? Sometimes
Brother
it's just
Scott.
best to be your own self and to feel with your own self. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Not everybody has to be a
What's this
paranormal
say?
investigator to enjoy paranormal.
No, not at all. I have lots of devices and will use every one of them to show other people what and when something is there, since they cannot visually see it. That's why I
Exactly.
use it. I don't use it because I can't see them, because I can, but I know that other people can't. And I want other people to be able to experience what I'm seeing and what I'm getting at that time. And that's why we use the devices and stuff like that.
I use my tools because I
Yeah,
need
I
them.
have a lot of crazy stuff. I know you do. I know you do. Uh, very much so. Hmm. You're here. You're just listening. That's awesome. Well, it is
Brilliant,
coming up
Debbie.
to the 2 hour mark now. So, is there anything else you wanted to say quickly? Because we are going to go off soon. I will just say that it's been really good for me and Sis to sit here and talk about our passion and what we love doing. And it's been
Yeah,
really lovely having all these messages and stuff and questions that you've been asking. It's been a really, really fun evening talking about the paranormal and links with the witchcraft and all that.
exactly. Well, I always say
It's
I'm
been
a
really fun.
spiritual advisor and a paranormal educator. So this is right up my street.
Yeah, yeah, same as. These are the things we love doing, guys. That is why
Yeah,
we're here. We're here to educate you and to advise you. And
yeah. And if there's anything you
I
want us to
enjoyed the live
cover,
stream.
let us
Good,
know.
sis.
Thank you.
Yeah, maybe next week we could do a show together, and maybe you could come up and we could talk about some other things and
That'd
stuff
be
like
good.
that. You know, we'll
Mystical
come up with a
one,
plan.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe we have you come up for an interview. What about we could get you to come up for an
Good.
interview, sis?
You could talk about all the different spell work or something. I don't know anything. Talk
All of
about
your
what
spell
you do,
work
mystical.
and your investigations and stuff that you've
Definitely
done,
check
like
the
just get you
channel
to
out,
talk
guys.
about everything you do. Would you like that?
Mystical has got an
You've
amazing
missed
channel.
them. Well, they are coming back, guys. They are coming back. Willow and Drew, thank you for the live stream. Enjoyed it very much. You're very, very welcome, Salam. Very, very welcome.
Blessings to you.
How would you want to do that, Sister Mystical? It'll be next Monday. Sure, that's brilliant. Okay, we've got a guest for next Monday, guys. We've got Mystical coming up for an
And
interview.
I've got my
So
face.
that's awesome. Our sister.
Yep. Yep. The 3-0.
We do love you all, though, guys, and thank you for coming in. And thank you, obviously, for to
All the
Sister
questions.
Chrissy and that for allowing us to be able to have this platform as well. It's amazing to be able to reach out to
Yeah,
all of you and learn you all. Just remember to be safe, be wise, and always think before you act when it comes to the paranormal and doing anything spiritual and that, guys. Just be safe, protect yourself, and be knowledgeable before you start delving in things you don't fully understand.
exactly. And remember, it can be scary.
Yeah,
It's
we'll
more
message you and
that.
remind you, sis.
It's
Yes.
scary. Yeah.
So I'm going to say, I'm going to get Sis to say where you can get out for anybody that is new that may be watching this, how you can catch Sister and watch her shows. Um, and like to say advice, and then I'll say mine, and then we're going to get off of here, guys. But we will be back next Monday again at 11 p.m. UK time, guys, and it will be an interview with our sister Mystical.
Good. Well, guys, my name is Andrina, as you know, but you can get me at Drew's Paranormal Vlog on on Facebook and on Instagram and on TikTok as well. But for YouTube, I'm now Drew's Scottish Vlogs. So just check out the channel, guys, and you probably find something that you like. I hate promoting myself. I just don't like it. But my link is in the chat, guys. I'll just say hi, and then you can get my link for there. Thank you.
Yeah. Just hit her link that she's going to write in the room, guys, and you'll be able to go over and check her out. She's got lots of really cool stuff on her channel. The same as Sister Mystical as well, and a lot of the other people in here. And Debbie, darling, you know, if we're ever in the US and that, like Australia or whatever, of course we'll come and see you, and you're very welcome to come over to England and Scotland. We'll happily hang out with you. Definitely come and be in Sherry and Drew's world. Definitely. Or Willow and Athena's world.
Yeah. I welcome you all to come.
Yeah, just hit that link, guys. Thank you, Drew, Sherry. Great education you gave us. And that is what we're here to do, guys. And we're glad that you enjoyed. So I am Willow, and obviously Sherry as well. I am an investigator. I am a witch. I am a practicing shaman. You can reach me on PWI Spiritual Investigators. You can also get me on Facebook under Sherry M. Brett if you're wanting any questions. I am got a new page opening in a couple of weeks, a group that is for education stuff to do with witches and all sorts of things. There's a paranormal chat that I've put in there as well for paranormal stuff. So when that's all up and running, guys, I will be putting the link into the chats. But me and Sister Drew have really enjoyed tonight, and we're going to be off now. And we love you all very much. Stay safe, stay true, and stay real, guys. And remember to always be sensible. And we will see you all very, very soon, guys. Love you all. Blessed be.
Blessings, guys. Bye.
Blessed be. Right, we'll do the 30-second countdown to give you time to say bye, and then I'm going to cut off. Not so much.
Bye, guys.